Hey guys, welcome to Boxing Squared for boxing news and views from around the internet. With excuses raining in from Deontay Wilder regarding his performance against Tyson Fury, you have to ask the question, can he learn from this fight, from his performance? Can he have an honest look at what happened? Or is he going to fully buy into things he's identified as being reasons why he lost the fight? And we can call those excuses, I certainly have. As I count it, we've had 4 so far. The worst among them claiming that his costume was too heavy and it weakened his legs. So I covered that off in another video, and I've got a couple of hot takes from the comment section to share a little bit later on. The second, that the referee did not officiate properly and he let Fury get away with too much and it influenced the fight. Also, Wilder says Mark Breland shouldn't have thrown in the towel, and that took away his chance of victory. And I'll come to some comments he's made about that to Boxing Scene. But the one that I wanted to touch on first is the new excuse that's come out, which is related to the Breland one. So apparently a Sugar Hill fighter, Anthony Dirrell, influenced Breland from the crowd. So we'll get to those statements first, and then also Wilder on his performance and his tremendous power that could have got him out of the fight. So he says, and you can see here on screen, and then getting influenced by the opposite team. One of the guys that train with the opposite trainer, you know, it makes you think. He was influenced by Dirrell. They said Dirrell was in back of him, screaming, "Throw in the towel, we love our champ." And you know, Anthony works with Sugar as well, the opposite trainer, Tyson's trainer. Dirrell works with them too. Breland said he didn't hear nothing, but everybody's saying the same thing. A lot of people that's around, a lot of people that was in my camp, and if everybody's hearing it, and if my people in the corner can hear him, and Mark said he can't hear him, there's something wrong with that. It's a lot going on with Mark as well, but you know, we're going to make a big decision by the time I come back from Africa, and we're going to go from there. So this is the latest in the litany of excuses that I outlined before. But what you may have picked up in there was he's effectively saying he doesn't believe Mark Breland, that Mark Breland didn't hear Anthony Dirrell. He is effectively calling Mark Breland a liar, and that he must have heard Dirrell screaming it because everyone else did. So I don't know what Mark Breland did or didn't hear, but this is another on top of other excuses that don't look good for Deontay Wilder. It's not a good look because he's not been gracious in defeat. He's sort of clutching at straws here. And I'll just get to a couple of the comments from the last video with the heavy costume one, because this is a flavor of the comment section. I don't think people can believe that he's actually saying that a 45 pound costume for an athlete who's in the prime of his career. He's not a small guy, he's a strong guy, but he couldn't, walk 100, 200 yards from the dressing room to the ring. That's what he's saying. It weakened his legs. So this comment here, PSF86, he's also lucky the towel didn't hit him. It would have killed him outright. Ian Ellis says, did he walk to work from home in that costume? That might explain the weakening of the legs if he went several kilometers. DC says his wife carries the kids and the shopping in from the car, unfortunately. And when you think about it, heavy loads of shopping is 40, 45 pounds, 20 kilos. So that's a big bottle of water, the big ones that you put in water dispensers. That's 20 kilos in itself. So I struggle to understand this excuse from Deontay Wilder. Jamie Robertson says, it was the 40 pound costume, not the 270 pound man. And this is a theme in the comment section too, that Deontay Wilder is trying to take away credit from Tyson Fury, even though he doesn't realize he's doing that. In the process of all these excuses, he's actually, it's reflecting poorly on him. And even though he says Tyson Fury deserves all the credit, through all the excuses, he's trying to take credit away from Fury and explain away his lack of a performance. And Alf Stewart says of the costume being too heavy and weakening Wilder's legs, that is too good. Wilder will walk out naked next fight to conserve energy. Make of it what you will. And I know some people will say that these people are trolling Deontay Wilder, but it was a massive flavor throughout the comment section. People in disbelief at that excuse. And one here that I wanted to pick up from this one that didn't make my Twitter post, but Paddy A says, if Wilder took more ownership on his loss, I'd be more intrigued for the rematch. It just doesn't look like Wilder's going to correct any mistakes. And that really is a valid point here, because within 2 days, we've got excuses coming in thick and fast. First, after the fight, he mentioned something about a leg, which presumably is related to this costume being too heavy for him. But you have to ask the question, why did he go ahead with it? And he says that to Kevin Ioli, and I'll just bring up the story, yahoo.com, that he only put it on for the first time the night before, but I didn't think it was going to be that heavy. It weighed 40-some pounds with the helmet and all the batteries. I wanted my tribute to be great for Black History Month. I wanted it to be good, and I guess I put that before anything. So he did have a dress rehearsal, and if he felt it was going to be too heavy for him, they could have easily changed plans. So the fact that he went through with it, I mean, ultimately that's on him, but I think many are in disbelief that an athlete in the prime of his career, a big, strong, tough 6'7" guy who was 231 pounds, couldn't carry 40 odd pounds for a couple of minutes to the ring. It's hard to swallow in my view. And getting back to the boxing scene story, obviously concerning that he's effectively saying Mark Breland must have heard it, and he's calling into question Mark Breland's character, because Breland has told him he didn't hear it. But he also goes on to say, I was way more hurt in the first Ortiz fight in this situation. I still had my mind. I still knew what was doing at certain times. I still knew how to move around the ring, although I didn't have the legs. I knew how to move around the ring. I was 42-0, 10 consecutive title defenses. I know what I'm doing in there. It may look like a certain type of way, but when you're talking about a Deontay Wilder, I'm never out of the fight because of my tremendous power. We've seen that many a times. I'm never out of a fight, and I'd rather go out on my shield and my sword than anything. By Breland knowing that, and then Jay, which is the head trainer, Jay told him not to do so. He still proceeded with it. It's kind of hurtful, man. It really makes you think about different things. I don't want to put negative thoughts in my head or have any kind of conspiracy theories going on, but it makes you think. Somebody that did not something that's not up to him, and even when they're instructed not to, they still proceeded on. So that's kind of, I think, if we're reading the tea leaves here, Mark Breland is not long before he's going to actually be axed from that camp. Deontay Wilder is going to harbour this, and clearly he blames him for part of the loss, at least because he threw in the towel. But going to those comments there where he talks about he knew what he was doing at certain times and it looked a certain way, and he said that he should have been given more time, etc. Effectively, in my view, he was given more time. He looked pretty shaky from the third round on, but really from the fifth round on, it was getting to a point where he was really getting battered to a pulp. So you could argue that it went on a bit longer than it really should have, and that he was given ample time to actually try to do something and show, one, the referee, but two, his corner, that he was in the fight. So yeah, I mean, what do we make of this in terms of Wilder's comments and the fact there's all these excuses? Can he actually regroup in a way that he can learn from this first fight? Because all I'm hearing at the moment is a bunch of excuses about things that happened with his camp and his suit that he had on in the ring walk, except there's all these things, but it's not actually saying, look, I've got these deficiencies I need to work on. I could have done this, that, or the other. Maybe there's a bunch of things that I can do differently. Maybe I should be trying to improve my technique, my footwork, and all-round craft, so I'm not so reliant on just the right hand. And sure, we've had the conversation in another video about whether Wilder can actually make adjustments and changes at this point in his career. He's 34 years old, soon to be 35. He pretty much is the finished article. But in different fights, depending on strategy and other bits and pieces, I think we've seen Deontay Wilder make some adjustments. He did for the Luis Ortiz fight, but effectively he carried that over. That was the Ortiz rematch I'm referring to. He carried that over to the Fury fight and thought, if I hang back and wait for an opportunity, I can do the same thing. There seemed to be no real plan B about what he was going to do. So I'm not confident, given his statements and excuses, that he's really going to have an honest conversation and an honest look at what happened and what needs to be adjusted for a trilogy fight, which he is going to enact, and he's going to trigger the contract. What do you make of it all? Is he going to learn from the performance, or will we see more of the same in the third fight? Drop a comment, loud and often. Hit like, hit subscribe. Follow me on Twitter, boxing_squared. I'm out.